Police in riot gear ordered over 1,000 pro-Palestinian demonstrators on the UCLA campus to either leave or face arrest. According to local media, protests are still ongoing, while similar confrontations have been unfolding nationwide, including police interventions at other universities and the dispersal of protest encampments. At the same place the night before, a group of pro-Israel counter-protesters stormed and assaulted the UCLA pro-Palestinian encampment by throwing fireworks, projectiles and tear gas at them. Fighting continued for several hours before police intervened, though no arrests were made, and at least 15 people were injured.
Israel has reopened the Erez crossing to allow more aid to enter northern Gaza. Aid groups have been warning for weeks of a humanitarian catastrophe in the Strip. The World Food Programme estimates around 1.1 million people across Gaza, around half the population, are struggling with catastrophic hunger and starvation.
As you can see behind me, those are the first trucks that came here today from Jordan, and we're gonna run this crossing hopefully every day.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Israel had made meaningful progress towards getting more aid in. He visited the Kerem Shalom crossing with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to discuss ways to expand the humanitarian operation.
One of the remaining challenges is making sure that when assistance gets through, it can be effectively distributed within Gaza, and we have to make sure that it's not interfered with or impeded by Hamas.
Blinken, on his 7th diplomatic tour of the Middle East since October the 7th, has urged Hamas to accept a deal presented by Egyptian mediators. That would see 33 Israeli hostages released for a larger number of Palestinians being held in Israeli prisons. The deal also includes a suspension of hostilities with the possibility of steps towards a permanent ceasefire later. Blinken said Israel had made important compromises with the truce deal and that Hamas should take it.
The European Union will give Lebanon a €1 billion aid package after an announcement in Beirut this week. The support will go towards strengthening the Middle Eastern country's borders and stem the flow of asylum seekers travelling into Cyprus and Italy.
To underline our support, I can announce a financial package of €1 billion for Lebanon that would be available from this year until 2027.
In Arabic, Prime Minister of Lebanon, Najib Mikati, likened the refugee situation in his country to a fireball and warned that the crisis would touch all of Europe. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen made the announcement with Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulis, who welcomed the news. In April, Cyprus temporarily stopped processing asylum applications due to an influx of Syrian refugees through Lebanon. In the first 2 weeks of that month, 1,000 people arrived to Cyprus by boat from Lebanon, leaving processing centres overloaded. €730 million of the recently announced package will support vulnerable groups in Lebanon, while other funding will discourage smuggling. Bright economic conditions rooted in modest economic growth is expected for the next 2 years, according to the OECD's latest forecast. The Paris-based Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development says global GDP should grow by 3.1% in 2024 and 3.2% in 2025. But outlooks differ depending on the region, with Europe's more advanced countries showing weaker economies, according to the report. Germany, long considered the sick man of Europe, is expected to perform disappointingly this year with 0.2% growth and 1.1% growth the year after. Italy is also expected to grow only 0.7% this year and 1.2% in 2025. Hungary and Iceland, however, have bucked the trend, with both countries' GDP optimistically projected to grow 2.8% in 2025. OECD Secretary-General Matthias Cormann said policy action needs to ensure stability and to improve medium-term growth.
The UK government says the first group of migrants has been rounded up for deportation to Rwanda later this year. Last week, Parliament approved legislation allowing deportations to Rwanda despite criticism from human rights groups that the plan is inhumane and illegal. The law was a response to a Supreme Court decision that blocked flights because authorities couldn't guarantee migrants' safety after deportation. After signing a treaty to improve protections, Rwanda was deemed a safe country. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has condemned the police response to ongoing protests in Georgia after Parliament passed a controversial foreign influence transparency law. The bill, which was passed on its second reading, requires media and non-commercial organisations to register as pursuing the interests of a foreign power if they receive more than 20% of their funding from abroad. In a post on X, von der Leyen said she was following clashes between police and protesters with great concern. She said the Georgian people want a European future for their country. Georgia is at a crossroads. It should stay the course on the road to Europe. Critics fear the law could be used to stifle the press and derail the country's chances of joining the European Union. One poll puts support for membership among Georgia's population as high as 81%.
We want to be part of the EU, so that's why they need to be extremely authoritarian, totalitarian, violent against the people. But it has its limits. You cannot rule the country which is against you all the time.
Supporters of the bill, proposed by the ruling Georgian Dream Party, say it's necessary to ensure transparency and national sovereignty. President Salome Zurabishvili has vowed to veto the bill, but the ruling party can override that veto by collecting 76 votes. Poland's President Andrzej Duda has condemned what he calls a shameful attack on a synagogue in the capital, Warsaw. Police say the attack on the Nożek synagogue took place at night when an unknown perpetrator tried to set the building on fire with a Molotov cocktail. The fire was extinguished and no one was injured. The attempted arson was also condemned by the Jewish community and Polish politicians.
A new exhibition in Moscow is displaying Western military vehicles seized during the war in Ukraine. It features 32 tanks manufactured in the US, the UK, Germany and France, among others. A Russian soldier explained how one of them got captured.
Споткнулся об собственный вес и отсутствие маневренности на слабых грунтах земли на территории СВО. Танк фактически был брошен, потому что им пришлось убегать, скажем так, и они не смогли его вытащить.
The exhibition, which runs till the 31st of May, will lead up to the big annual Victory Day parade of the 9th of May. The Kremlin hopes the initiative will discourage NATO countries from sending more weapons to Ukraine.
Protesters concerned about the impact of the Paris Olympics have rallied outside the French Interior Ministry. The group requested to see the Interior Minister over concerns for the rights of migrants and homeless people. One protester said he was worried about the way squatters are being evicted. Paris police routinely clear out migrant tent camps, citing public health and safety, but the city is a magnet for people fleeing conflict or poverty. Tens of thousands of people in Romania have used May Day as an excuse to hit the beach as the country marks the official start of the summer season. Parties started on Tuesday night and lasted until dawn, with some tourists even sleeping on the beach. Vama Veche and Costinești are the destinations of choice this year for young sun-seekers. Hoteliers estimated around 50,000 tourists spent the May Day holiday at seaside hotels.
Bonjour, je suis JB de Roya Citoyenne. Je fais partie d'une association qui accueille les réfugiés qui traversent notre vallée après avoir franchi la frontière italienne. Et nous les faisons parvenir à Nice pour qu'ils puissent demander l'asile. Si j'étais élu, je m'arrangerais pour que l'argent qui est versé à l'agence Frontex, qui sécurise avec violence et inhumanité les frontières extérieures de l'Europe, soit plutôt dépensé pour l'accueil coordonné et intelligent de ces réfugiés.
If I'm re-elected as a member of European Parliament, I would like to set my goals for what people really expect of the European Union, and these are twofold. First, to tackle illegal migration. We need to invest in securing our external borders, so border walls, fences, and a naval blockade. The second part is setting up a really competitive economy, which really means that we need to lower bureaucracy, we need to lower red tape, we need to lower taxes, we need a smaller government, smaller European Union.